Chapter 16. Veronica's POV. "Your Majesties, look out!" I shouted as I jumped into air. The man with the red eyes roared as it attacked the Majesties. His body shifted to that of a demon and wings burst out of its back, flying towards them at full speed. I took the dagger used in the ceremony and met the demon in front of the Majesties. It roared as I stabbed the demon in the chest before kicking it to the ground. I went back to the ground in an attack stance and looked around as more of them burst out roaring. "Everyone get to the castle!" King Alistair shouted as he activated the powers. His eyes shined blue as he sped to the flying demons. The gods all activated their powers as I ran to the backstage. I opened my bag and took out my whiplash and my daggers before running out. I threw a dagger at a demon that was going to attack Noah from behind. "Good one," he said as he turned around, but his eyes widened as it lands on me. "Vera, what are you doing here? Get back to the castle," Noah said as he splayed the demon by its neck. "Bullshit! I'm fighting!" I said as I dodged and attacked of another. "It's too dangerous. You can help them from the kingdom. Keep the villagers safe," he said as he threw a beam of power at the demon behind me. "I'm the general warrior. I'm trained for this, so stop talking and kill some demons," I said as I ran to my left to help Mother Arya, ignoring his protest. "Veronica, try to save the people and bring them safely to the kingdom. The elders will start a protection spell to keep them safe," Mother Arya said as I nodded. Her eyes were shining, one gold and one blue. Both her queen's mark and her elder's mark were shining, showing she was using both the powers combined. She moved through the demons, fast killing every demon in sight and saving the villagers. Damn, no wonder she holds both positions even after being born a human. The demons were everywhere, and some of them were taking the villagers and flying to the air. "Take everyone to the kingdom through the woods. The flying ones won't be able to attack because of the trees," I said as the gods nodded. I attacked every demon around me, but the demon flew past me with a child crying out my name. "Catherine!" I shouted as I went behind the demon. It flew to the forest, and I went after it, slaughtering every demon in front of me. My body was aching, and I was injured badly. I stopped, and I saw the demon in a small opening of the forest, looking at me with a smirk. "Want her?" the demon asked. He showed me with an unconscious Catherine hanging from his hand upside down. "Let her go," I said as the demon grinned. "Then come with us to where you belong, to where you can be who you are and use your powers without any worries," he said as he turned into a mortal appearance. My eyes widened as I took in the man in front of me. He looked in his early 20s. He had mesmerizing red eyes and his hair was jet black. But that was not which caused shiver through my body. He had red markings all over his body, just like mine. "See, you and me, we are the same kind," he said as I looked at him in horror. "I'm not like you," I said as he grinned and shook his head. "But you are, princess. You have our blood. It won't be long," he said as I growled. "I'm not a demon," I said as he laughed. "Are you sure?" he said as I felt my heart skip a bit. "Am I?" "Come with me," he said as I shook my head. "No, I'm not them." "Not a chance," I said as I ran to the man with my whiplash. I jumped in the air and lashed my weapon at him. "See you soon," he said as he transformed back to the demon. The demon's eyes widened in shock at seeing me suddenly above it. It screamed as my whiplash went around his neck as I took the child in my hand. I tightened the lash as it sliced through the demon's neck, making it fall dead on the ground. I ran back to one of the guards and gave her to him. "Take her to the kingdom," I said as he nodded and ran off. I looked at my hand as I saw marks around them. Stupid markings. I cursed, but ran to the battlefield to kill some more demons. "Noah POV," I smirked as the sword slashed through another one of those disgusting demons. Dead. "Are you all right?" I asked the teenage boy as he nodded his head, still in fright. "Thank you, King Noah," he said as I shook my head. "It's my duty. Now come on," I said as I took him to the protection shield where they transported the villagers to the castle. "Prince, you hurt," one of the warriors said as I brushed him off. I'm okay, I said as he looked at me in worry. Send them back to the kingdom, I said as I handed them the shaken boy before running out. My shoulder was stinging hard from the claws of the demon I fought earlier. Let's go to the West Forest, I said as the warriors behind me shouted a yes, sir. Suddenly, a wave of casein scent hit the air round as I groaned and fell on my knees. Every wizard was on the ground, groaning in pain. The shifters were immediately beside the sorcerers, trying to fight the demons which were now outnumbering us. Your Majesty, let me take you to the kingdom, one of the female fox warriors said as I shook my head. Take the rest of them to safety. I can manage this, I said as she looked at me in worry. That is an order, I said. She gulped and moved back before going to the others. Being given the mark of Vamir, I have more resistance to the casein, but my powers will be limited. My whole body was paining, and I felt my power was wavering. I stepped the sword to the ground and stood up with its support. From my peripheral view, I saw a demon running to me from the left. I tightened the hole on my sword, and when the demon was in my reach, I took the sword and jumped over the monster before piercing my sword to the demon's back. I fought the demons around me, but the number was increasing rapidly. I ran to the woods, knowing I would lose the ones flying above me. I had a few of the villagers on the way and immediately used my own power to teleport them back to the castle. My power was depleting faster, and I felt short of breath. I took out my sword and looked around at the demons that surrounded me. I shouted as I ran to the demons, raising my sword in the air. Chapter 17. No one POV. The fight was brutal. Many villagers were injured, and many were dead. The elders have created a protection shield around the castle, and the villagers were being transported in. The wizards were forced to return to the castle because of the spread of casein poison around. But the royal majesties were on the village, fighting the demons alongside the shifters. Someone! Anyone! Get me out of here! I need to save her! A voice kept shouting in the dungeon, but no one was there to listen. Shit! Azivir, Veronica's father, Kez has looked at his chained hands. He let out a sound as he closed his eyes. He has been saving his powers all this time. He knew one day he had to escape prison. He knew this was the time to do so. He heard from the warriors shouting that demons are attacking the village. He knew they will. He knew their purpose. They're after his daughter. He can't let him have her. His urge to escape increased as he felt his power activate. Ugh! He shouted as his eyes glowed silver. The chain around him broke as he transported himself to the field of battle. He opened his eyes to see the demons attacking everywhere. He used his powers and conjured his sword before starting to attack the demons while simultaneously searching for his daughter. The air was filled with casein, but it didn't affect him as much. He was one the king of the dark wizards, and he also built resistance around the poison with the years in the Terra prison. He stopped as he heard a familiar voice. Noah? He whispered as he ran to the direction. Noah was in the middle of the forest, battling a dozen demons. He looked tired and weak, and it was not surprising. With the amount of casein in the air, he would have collapsed if he was not holding the mark of Vamir. Suddenly, he spotted a demon trying to do a sneak attack on the prince. He didn't think twice before he slashed upon the demon, killing it with his powerful sword. King Azivir, Noah said, shocked. No time to talk, he said as he sliced another demon approaching them. We need to find Veronica. She's in danger. Azivir said as Noah nodded. They fought the rest of the demons together before going deep into the forest. How can we find her? Noah asked as he looked around the wood. Azivir didn't reply. As he closed his eyes and raised his hand, a silver bubble appeared in his hands, illuminating the entire area. Ugh! Azivir groaned as he fell on his knees. Are you okay? Noah asked, supporting him as he nodded. I'm okay, he said before he looked at the silver bubble. Show the way to my daughter. Azivir said as the bubble turns to a shape of a black little fairy before flying away. Come on, Azivir said as he dragged Noah with him. They ran through the woods and reached an opening where Veronica was fighting a sea of demons. Veronica caught the sight of us, and her eyes widened. Taking that as an advantage, a demon lashed its hand at her. She flew to a tree, screaming in pain. Veronica! Noah shouts as he ran to her, fighting the demons blocking his way, as if he fought the rest of the demons as a prince took her in my hands. Are you all right? Noah asked as she nodded, groaning. I am, she said as Noah looked at her in worry. She then turned her gaze to her father. He was out of jail and now in front of her fighting the demons. How did he? She faltered as she looked at Noah. I don't know, but you stay here. I will go and help him, he said as he stood up. I'm helping too, she said, trying to stand, but a deep pain engulfs her from the backbone. Oh, I said as I slid down. You're hurt badly. Stay here, please. I will help him, Noah said with pleading eyes. Okay, she whispered, although she was against it. She knew she was seriously injured. And if she fights now, she will only be a burden. Noah put a protection spell around her before running to her father. She noticed that the protection spell was very weak. She knew Noah was also on the verge of collapsing as well. She watched as both of them fight the demons, but more came pouring in. She wanted to help. She hates being useless, knowing her family is in danger, but she couldn't do anything. The mark on her body was burning, and it was getting worse as time passed. Her body was covered with red markings, and she hated it. She hated marks which remind her how different she is from the others. She hates that the power she has is uncontrollable and has to be hidden from others. She closed her eyes, frustrated. Her whole body was shaking, and the pain in the back was increasing. Her mark was burning more she thought of it. Suddenly, a scream filled the air as her head snapped to the fight in front of her. King Azivir! Noah shouted as Veronica screamed. A demon claw was dug into the heart of her father. The demon smiled as she threw Azivir's body to the tree next to the one she is leaning on. Papa! She screamed as she ran to him. Even though they were only a few feet away, she stumbled a couple of times. But before she could reach him, the demon threw her body to the middle of the fight. Veronica! Noah shouted, but he couldn't go to her. More demons were fighting him. No! Papa! She whispered, feeling weak. Vera, her papa said as the demon looked at her father. He smirked at her before taking her father by the neck. Say goodbye to him, the demon said as her eyes widened. Her body burned like never before. She felt many different emotions boiling inside her. Her vision became red. She felt an uncontrollable anger building in her. Ugh! She shouted as her eyes shined bright blood red. Her body now filled with red marks burning like coal.